Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of No Bullshit Talks, and I'm so happy to be welcomed by Jack Gaisford today from V21. How are you?
Guys, I'm not too bad. Thank you for having me on. Very excited to be in the first season, which is notoriously known as the best season. So
absolutely,
here we go. Very excited. Pleasure to be here.
So you run a video marketing agency, and although we'll talk about exactly what you guys do, but one of the first things I wanted to ask you is basically, you're super young, right? How old are you?
I'm 25, so a little bit of a baby. Yeah, definitely.
You are, and I think I met you when you were like 22, 21 or something.
Yeah,
and
I think so, yeah.
I was like, God, this guy's so young. And I was impressed, don't get me wrong, but how often do you get told, okay, you're far too young, you have no idea what you're doing at this game?
I think it definitely was a lot at the start, but I think a lot of that was my, I guess, preconceived impression that a lot of people had of me a little bit. It was, I was a young guy coming into an industry I'd never really been in before, trying to play with the big dog straight away, trying to walk before I could sort of, trying to run before I could walk, so to speak. And I used to get a little bit, people say, obviously you can't be very good at what you do. You've literally just started, or you're 21, how the hell? But it's just, and it is the truth of, you just got to show people, right? I could have sit there and told everybody that I was amazing, but actions speak louder than words. Show, don't tell. And now, not to toot my own horn, but I'd say that I'm probably one of the biggest videographers on LinkedIn, which is pretty cool. So got a really good network behind me, especially in my area as well, sort of Southeast England, which is big up Southeast. So yeah, it's I used to get it quite a lot, but not so much anymore. I think I'm sort of getting up there in the world, which is good. So, but I'm still young. I've still got a long way to go, and I totally appreciate that. But
that is pretty cool. I would actually have to agree with that. You are definitely one of the most prolific videographers on my LinkedIn. Like every day,
it makes me feel really cringe when I say that, though. Really cringe.
I feel like you're a big part of my life every day. I'm like, oh, there's Jack again, another video. But it's a great thing. It's a great thing, but you've had the chance to actually prove yourself, right? How many times do you reckon that you've had people just like not even give you a chance because they think, oh, he's too young, and like just dismissed you?
Yeah, 100%. It's especially within the first year and a bit, coming into industry, I didn't have any experience. I never worked for a company either in my life. I worked for a camera shop when I was about 18 at uni, but came out, didn't have a proper job, started working with my dad. And it is just, sometimes you've got to have people that just take a bit of a risk, let you really sort of sink your teeth into it. If you do something wrong, or if you maybe don't do it well, at least you've learned a lesson. But I think I snapped on very quickly to offer free work just for experience. So the first year was really just doing a lot of passion stuff, a lot of stuff that I wanted to make to show what I could do, to the point now where, we're charging pretty good money for the work that we do because it really works. And it's just that, I guess, sort of snowball effect. It's just increased and got better and better the longer I've been in business. So
absolutely. If you go into your LinkedIn and go to experience, it's basically your company, and they're like, none. It's like, I'm guessing loads of people probably go in there and be like, okay, this guy knows squat, and then just like, but it just shows you that people can't judge you, because 100%. If you actually look at your content, it's brilliant, and like if they gave you the chance, like they'd actually get this great thing. But I want to take this opportunity because you mentioned your dad. How does it feel to be like, have your dad be more popular than you on LinkedIn?
That is just so rude. I just can't believe you even said that to me. That's just awful. It's just awful. Right. Great. We're on this conversation already. It was only a matter of time, right? Bloody hell. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's always a bit awkward, especially when I meet people for the first time and go, oh, I know your dad. It's like, yeah, great. But I can't complain. He's my old man. We used to work together. We used to do some cool stuff together. That's, I guess, essentially what started the business, really. I used to make content for his business, Red Sprout, at the time, which has now developed a lot as well. It was me, him, and one other person. I was, I guess, head of content at that point. Couldn't work with each other for the life of us. It just wasn't working. And he just said, look, go and do your own thing. I just can't be around you for much longer. But no, I get that all the time as well. And it is, it's super cringe, but yeah, I get it a lot. So thank you for bringing it up.
I'm sorry, but when you're a kid and everyone was like, oh my God, parents are so embarrassing. And like, they're like, shut up. Like, Do you think he says that about you when you make your posts?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I was sort of having this conversation about him the other day. It was sort of saying, what's the point where I supersede him? When people go, you're Jack's dad. That makes sense. Not far away, I don't think, but we'll see, right? Tables will turn soon. So
I think you should definitely, at your next event, you should go together and then you should like split the room, but like, who's here for Jack? Who's here for Mark? And then just like see who wins.
Can you imagine? Red side, blue side, who's with Mark?
Yeah.
And who's with Jack? That'd be pretty good. Yeah, I'd be interested in that. Well, he did do an event quite a couple of years ago called Lilk, I think, if I remember it. And it was kind of everyone there was there to see Mark Gaisford. And I know it sounds a sort of bit up our own arse, a bit egotistical, but I guess we're fairly known in Kent, which is good. So, but for everybody else in the world, maybe even people listening to podcasts, they're going, "Who the bloody hell is this 25-year-old kid jumping on, acting like he's famous?" I'm not. I'm just a general average bloke who runs a company and have just done all right for myself on social. So. I'm actually an alright guy.
that's why I like you. And I think like I saw your post the other day about you bought a house. Mega congrats. And I loved that post because you were just like, do you know what? I've got no backstory. I'm just me. I'm a regular guy, and I've just my bloody arse off, and I've got here, and I really appreciated that because I'm the same. I've done it a bit later than you, but I am in my new house, which I finally bought 2 months ago. So very recent and very real.
Nice.
And, it's just the best feeling. But I don't have that backstory. I don't have. I feel like. Do you not feel like on social that that's what people try to do? They try to find the saddest thing about themselves. It's like X Factor. Like that's what it feels like to me.
It basically is.
It's like I need to find anyone who's related to me that has cancer and then put stuff about it. Obviously that's the saddest thing ever, and everyone knows someone who does, and obviously my heart goes out to anyone who does and fighting for it, but it shouldn't be a marketing ploy, and definitely, I really hate that. And I don't know, there's that tone, and it's horrible.
I completely agree. It's using pity as leverage a little bit sometimes, because especially on LinkedIn, you've got that sort of level of people where maybe they've got kids, maybe they've been through that experience themselves, so they're going to be a bit more experienced in life than maybe the younger guys, and there is a sense of achievement there, as there is with their own kids as well. So when you are younger and you achieve something, a lot of people, well, let me set that back, when you're older and you achieve something, you almost have to, especially on LinkedIn, you've got to add something else to it that makes it feel more of an achievement. And it's kind of like, just be normal, be human. I only posted that because I saw a lot of people that week have pretty big achievements, and there were huge sub stories there, being young and being homeless and not having any money. And again, that's really sad, and that's a horrible experience to go through. But I'm just an average guy. I've just worked my absolute arse off. I've bought my first property. I'm very happy. And I just wanted to share that with the world, really. And I think a lot of people appreciate that, because it's just very much like your business, zero BS, just real, being completely honest. And that's what I stand behind. So,
I thought it was great, and congratulations. You must love being in your new home. It's honestly the best feeling, I think. So
it's amazing. It's amazing just to be able to make holes in walls that my partner doesn't necessarily agree, but just to drill things and have a shed as well. That's
you're not going to
cool.
lose your deposit for at the end by a landlord.
Yeah, that's true. Well, my landlord, the reason we moved was my landlord ended up buying a brand new Range Rover, and I was like, right, that's where my money's gone. So let's get out of here and let's find somewhere else. So but no, it's a big achievement. 25, there's a lot of especially my grandparents saying, it's very hard when you're in your 20s to get on the property ladder, and it really is, but it comes down to how hard you want that, how hard you work. Some people spend a lot of money on going out and having drinks and fashion and materialistic things. I would much rather save and invest it and get into property, and it just depends on how you spend your money. So,
well done. That is,
congrats
you are
to you
like
as well.
a good inspiration. I mean, I've done mine several years later than you, but I did do the whole buy loads of fashion stuff and go on holiday all the time. I was very irresponsible in my 20s. I woke up in my 30s though, and I kind of a bit more sensible, but I made it here. But I'm so glad that you said that it is like hard work, grit and determination, because I'm also sick of people and like so many posts. If you scroll through like Instagram, how many posts do you see where it's like, oh yeah, my 4-hour work week, hashtag manifest, and it will just happen. if you just write down a figure, 10 million pounds, it will just turn up on your doorstep the next day. Just believe and it will come true. Like, oh my God, that stuff annoys me so much. And it's such a load of crap. You have to still work your ass off. There is no other way. I'm sorry.
100%. But people bite on that though. That's why that sort of content does so well, because it's, the more you say it, the more believable it becomes, right? You know, some people have some pretty bad things going on, some really serious problems in their lives that they don't want to address. And it's just sort of, just be human, be yourself. You're going to have people that hate you, you're going to have people that like you. Just spend the time with people that you get on with. That's just sort of how I've always done it.
Yeah, I love that. And so, you mentioned LinkedIn. You are big on LinkedIn. What made you choose LinkedIn for the platform to kind of promote yourself?
LinkedIn, yeah, it's a good question, because at the time, I think, again, I was working with Mark, and at the time there wasn't even an option to post video onto the platform. There wasn't anything like stories and polls and different types of engagements that you can put, like the likes and the loves and those sorts of things. It was just, you post a piece of content. It was a big old job board. But I think we saw together, I can't even put this down to myself. It was me and my dad at the time that put this together and thought there's potential that this is going to blow up, because video is becoming more prominent, especially in the business world. It was quite white papers, quite bloggy at the time, but videos were starting to come out, and it was only a matter of time until video was natively introduced. So we just kind of went ham on it and posted a lot of content. He started to grow very quickly. And it was at that point where I thought, actually, you can really monetize this, and you can actually capitalize on that monetization side of things. So I sort of branched off, did my own thing, started a LinkedIn page, got my own, I think it was, I want to say May 2018, I think I started my LinkedIn page. So only 3 years ago, so not far off. But you just went absolutely ham on it. It really just tested a lot of things out. It also gave me the opportunity to just be a bit creative and just see what happened on the platform. At the time, Facebook and Instagram were really hard to get into, as they still are. It was very pay to play. But LinkedIn was just, you could really grow on it. And I think that, again, I sound like I'm sort of up my own arse on this, but we kind of pioneered that social content side of thing on LinkedIn. It was going to come at some point anyway. But there was nobody doing it at all. We looked and we looked and we looked, and there was no content on the platform, and just thought, fuck it, let's give it a go and see what happens. And then to this day, I don't think I've missed a week. Unless I've been on holiday, I don't think I've missed a week of posting content.
That is so impressive. Oh my God, that commitment in itself is just insane. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like how much time? Yeah, how much time like a week do you spend on your posts?
A lot. So yeah, so we do this thing in the company now. There's more of us now. It was not just me, but we do it bi-weekly. So every second Friday is always our content. Whether that's the boys in the team, whether that's myself and the team, we just purely our day to make content that's fun, that we like. And especially in the creative industry, sometimes you work on projects that, aren't necessarily fulfilling creatively, and you have to have that as a creative. You've got to have that passion that really fuels your fire to keep going sometimes. And we use that to relight that fire a little bit, put some more kindle in, and kind of keep that fire burning. But it's a long time spent on content. But the thing is, the ROI on that and the return that we get from that is massive. It's absolutely huge, and it outweighs the time that we spend on it. But this is what makes me laugh about businesses. They don't see that value. They're purely based on instant results, instant sales, and it just doesn't work like that. And it never has done. Saying that, I have no idea where this sort of misconception of you post a video and then you suddenly go viral and you get millions of pounds worth of business. I'm sorry, mate. If that was to happen, everyone would be millionaires and running their own agencies. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's just, honestly, I've just never stopped. Most of my business comes through LinkedIn. We now are at the point where we're getting a lot of referrals and stuff because we're getting a little bit bigger as well as an agency. But it's like, like we said earlier, it's just hard work, consistency, sticking at a platform for a long time. But then, saying that, I'm not the biggest. There's many people that are much bigger than I am on social who have done it in less time than me. They've maybe figured out a different route, or they've tapped into the right market at the right time. It's just experimentation, testing things out, and just getting, just enjoying it. Because I genuinely love doing it.
Yeah, and you could tell, and that comes across, and that's, I think, super important. Like I think your passion that drives it, and I think that's it's great. And as I said, I noticed you because it was different. You said you were one of the first people that did it, and that's it. It was a breath of fresh air to see something. I was like, oh my God, that's actually funny. That's actually genius. And it was funny because it was true as well. It wasn't funny because you were like just doing something ridiculous. It was funny because it's actually factually true. So it was like creative but useful and actually like meaningful content. And I think that's so difficult to do. So
100%.
how do you actually sit there and actually come up with this stuff? And obviously not everyone's wired to be a creative genius, but like, you know, like what goes through your head? How do you sit down and be like, I'm going to do this?
It's such a hard question to answer, because, and I know it sounds a bit weird, but most of my ideas just come when I'm just in the shower and I'm just sort of sitting there not thinking about anything, washing my hair, and I go, oh my God, that's a brilliant idea for a piece of content. I don't know how that works. I'm not sure if maybe more logical thinkers have the same sort of thing, or other creatives, but I get ideas when I'm not thinking about ideas. They just come from doing things.
So your advice is take more showers, right?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, just spend more time thinking about nothing, basically. Yeah, that's useful time. But I don't know. I just find it's when I'm not stressed out, when I'm not overloaded with, you know, hundreds of things in my to-do list of the day to do, I can just sit there and go, cool, you know, let's just have a think about some things, sort of chill out a little bit, relax, and they tend to come. I think a lot of the time though, it is doing things as well. It's being quite proactive. It's sort of looking at every situation, thinking, what can I make out of that situation? Let's say recently we've had a bit of and I'm happy to be open about it, we've had a bit of an issue with culture in the company, because we've grown the team, doubled it in literally 3 months. There's a lot more of us now. But with that comes a very different approach to how you deal with people, how you manage projects, etc. There's company days out. You've got to think about how people feel. And I knew that was, it's an inevitable thing to have to do when you grow a business. But again, I'm 25, I've never done it before in my life. And it kind of just sprung on me. And the guy said to me, look, you know, we're happy, but we could be happier. We've never done anything as a team. I don't really feel like we're massively valued here. And we just thought, right, let's change it around. And it's content there that, again, going back to the be human, I'm happy to share, because it's showing my journey, learning about business. It's showing the company's progression as well in terms of culture, hiring people, expanding, growing. And it is just not hiding that. And some people don't like that. They see it as maybe, oh, you know, you're jumping on something that, of course, people are going to like and share around because it's businessy. But it's innocently motivated. It's always just purely in the moment. I think about, let's make a video around team culture, then let's make a video around a vlog of going and doing stuff as a company. It's, you know, it kind of happens in the moment a lot of the time. And that is very hard to think of on the spot. But it's, yeah, and I guess it goes back to that Gary Vee mantra years ago of document, don't create. You know, you can think of loads of ideas just by not really having to think about things, just what happens in the moment.
I think that's it. Like you're saying, it's real. Like the stuff that you're like I said, documenting, it is your just real everyday business life, and that's you're just coming up with like ways that people can learn from what your experience is. And I think that's what makes it so much easier. Like a lot of people say, you just said you've not missed a week on LinkedIn. That's incredible. But a lot of people, you know, say, oh, you post quite a lot on LinkedIn. Like, how do you come up with content? And I'm like, I'm not even trying to come up with content. I just only post when I have something to say. And then if it's real, then it's easy. It just flows. And it just comes to you. So it's not even like you're trying to actually create anything. So it's actually not even effort. So I think that's the difference.
But that's the benefit of coming at it from a much more authentic point of view, because the problem that businesses face is when they've come up with these amazing strategies, which I do understand the value of and I see the importance of, and we have one as well. But when you're creating things like pillars for content or different categories that we can focus on as a business, if they're not, I know this is going to sound really cheesy, but if they're not actually in your heart and you don't follow those in your day-to-day life, you're going to forget them. The beauty of being authentic about it is you've already kind of got those content categories. You've kind of got those ways that you position yourself, and it just comes across naturally. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to be concerned that, oh crap, we haven't got something in the conversion category. It's just, you know, it just comes naturally as a byproduct of just being yourself. So that would generally be my advice, as it always has been for the last couple of years. It is just be a bit more human on content. You know, we miss that. People have always bought from people, and it hasn't changed, and it never will change. We are emotional beings. We, you know, one-to-one, we build relationships. You know, we fall in love, we have relationships. It's the same thing in business. You've just got to be yourself. And also have a good product or service, and then people will buy.
Exactly.
That would help.
Yourself,
that would help.
If you're crap at what you do, it's probably not going to be great.
That's very true. That's very true.
I love that. And you've mentioned the word authentic like 4 times, and that just so reigns true of me, because I just believe that is one of the most real values that you should have, like authenticity, and I'm definitely 100%. One for that. But you know, I've written several posts on authenticity, and you know, I get a lot of back chat about it, because because I think personally, I just think there's a lot of phonies out there. Like there's a lot of people just posting because they want those vanity metrics.
Yes,
they
definitely.
are just like, you know, waiting for that like and that comment to be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. And then to get this build their ego. Like it just is like, I feel like they're sitting there refreshing, like, oh my God. Like it's just, they're just like, and they're like sitting there, oh, how can I come up with content to make me popular? Like it's just, that's what it feels like.
100%.
And I think that it's really obvious when stuff's not authentic. Like, what do you think? I mean, and I'm not going to ask you to name names, but do you have people in your industry who you think just put that sort of content out?
100%, 100%. As there are in any, right? There's a lot for sure. But I think it is because, and like you said, it's now a mainstream word. It's a businessy jargon buzzword that people use to seem real and to seem authentic. But actually, by saying that, it's kind of counterintuitive and makes you just look like a bit of a dick. But it's hard though, right? It's sort of like, you have the people that are being real and are being authentic, and then they say that they are, and it does the opposite. So it's very difficult, but I guess it just comes down to not really caring about what other people think from a personal perspective, and just sort of doing what makes you happy. There's content that I post sometimes and go, fuck it, let's just give it a go and see. It's not any reflection on my business. It's purely based on myself, my own personal brand, my own opinions. And if people don't like that, fine. I can't please everybody. It'd be very boring if you could please everybody. That's the beauty of opinion.
But I think that your attitude is so impressive at your age. I sound really patronizing. I sound really old as well when I'm saying this. I'm like, God, back in my day, and I could only I was as white as you. Like, I feel so old saying that. But what I mean is, like, what you're saying is so true. But you have such confidence saying it. I definitely didn't have that confidence, like, to think, okay, like, screw it, I don't care about pleasing everyone. I was just like, oh no, what if someone doesn't like me? What if I post this and then they're going to be like, oh no, look what Sabrina said. I'm like, I was always a bit like that. And obviously now I don't care as much, but it takes a lot
definitely.
to do that. I mean, like, I don't know if you've got any advice for anyone out there who's probably thinking that every day, like, I don't want to post this. Do I hit send because, someone's going to think, I mean, do you have any advice of how you'd like to tackle
I do
that?
actually. So the biggest piece of advice I could give is think logically, think logically, not emotionally. So don't put, and this has actually been talked to me by a chap called Richard Moore, who I've known for a long time. Very, very amazing sales guy, if I want to big him up now. But he taught me to not put how you feel emotionally above the benefit of what you do, or benefit of the business, benefit of your own life. You can spend time thinking and worrying about what will happen and sort of how, maybe someone won't like that. Maybe Karen will complain, which she always will do anyway.
Love Karen.
Focus on making stuff that, exactly. Just focus on doing stuff that you want to do. Think logically, what is the worst that could happen if you put that out? Or let's say the thing that makes me laugh in business is it's when companies will spend months and months and months reviewing a video or making a piece of content and then not tweaking it 3 months later because it's not quite perfect because they're concerned that it's going to do this, that, and the other. But you never know. It's wasting time just thinking about ifs and buts instead of absolutes. So my advice is be a logical thinker. Don't be an emotional thinker, which is very hard to do. And it takes a bit of training. But I think it helps when you run a company because you have to, especially in, maybe some tense situations, whether you're hiring people or, making people redundant or that, it's some tough situations there, you have got to cut off the emotional side and you've got to be completely logical, benefit of the business. This is what I need to do to grow. And it can be a little bit cutthroat sometimes, but you can either spend your life worrying about what people think, or you can earn some really good money and just, do what you want to do and live your own sort of life. That's what I would rather choose to do.
It's interesting that you say it's sometimes easier if you run your own business. I feel like it would be harder because when you run your own business, it's your baby and you're so connected to it. So the emotion is just there. You can't detach yourself from it because it's like every decision you make, you're like, but it's my baby. Like, it's like, it means everything to me. Whereas I feel like if I could hire someone to like write my content and make the decisions, like, then they're a bit more detached and then maybe they can be a bit more of a logical thinker in that sense. So I don't know, maybe that's just me. I feel like I've still got that worry in me when I do it, clearly.
I don't know, I guess that's sort of like, it's the risk factor. Some people have, a greater level of risk than others. Some people are, quite safe people and, slow burners. Some people are much more risk takers, really aggressive growth. It depends on the sort of person. There's no side that is wrong or right. It's subjective, I guess, at the end of the day. I am a bit of a slow burn, so I am quite a methodical thinker, but I do remove the emotion when it comes to business a lot of the time because it is purely business. And I know business is about people, but sometimes you have to make decisions that you can't go on emotion. You've got to make a completely logical decision. As an example, you can't just work with a company because you like them. You've got to work with the company because they have a good product or they have a good service. If they don't have a good product or service, then you can't work with them. Even if you do like them, even if it is your best mate or you've known them since you were a child, it's not going to work. And even though that's going to suck for both people, and it might make a few people a bit upset, and and those sorts of things. But the benefit of the business is that, well, that's not going to grow, and I'm investing money, which is hard to earn, into something that I want to scale. So, yeah, you've just got to think logically, but it just takes a bit of training, I think. And I'm still not quite there at the moment, but I think it's just you've got to be a little bit selfish sometimes. I think it's kind of so. you've got to do things for you a little bit. I think I kind of wish people did that more often. A lot of the time, people are too busy trying to please other people. Just do what you want to do. Do what you want to do, and it would be fine.
But you say you've got a little way to go, but it sounds like you've been in business forever. Like, honestly, I can't believe that you're 25. Like, listening to you, I feel like you've had years and years of experience. But I mean, let's think about how people view like business and education and stuff like that. People pay hundreds of grand to of pounds to go to to do an MBA at university.
Yeah.
And they believe that you must do an MBA and learn all this in order to be good at business. But you've already proved that you can grow a successful company and be really good at what you do. And you haven't done any of that formal training. So how have you done this? How and what advice would you give to other people who are also young and can't afford, because it's astronomical fees, right? And they're probably never ever going to pay that off. I've actually spoken to a couple of MBA courses and asked them what percentage of people actually see an ROI on their MBA degree, and you don't want to know. It's disgustingly small, and so no one can really afford that. So what advice would you give to those who are young and want to start out and do their own business? How would you suggest they?
I guess I can only talk from my experience, and everybody else's would be different, but it is, and it was taught by my dad. It was, you've got to fail, and you've got to fail fast. When I find when you get older, let me start from scratch. When you're younger, you make a lot of mistakes and you fail a lot, because that's how you learn things. It's like when a kid puts his hand on fire and he goes, oh, I'm not going to do that again because it's hot and it burns. And you've learned that lesson straight away. When you get older, for some reason, you seem to really care about status, and you really care about how people view you. Again, it goes back to perception of other people in terms of how they judge you and how they think of you. But we are very scared to make mistakes, I find, and we don't want to take risks because there's fear that we're not going to be successful and we're going to lose that bet, or it's not going to work out in our favor. But that's how you learn things, and that's how you kind of evolve as a person. You've got to make mistakes. So you've got to put your hand in a few more fires. You've got to take a few more risks. Chances are that a lot of those won't work out, but you only need one to go bang. Then you've kind of won in that sense. You've got the big win. But it is just, I started out, I gave things a go. I really didn't do very well for the first year. And it was only after doing a lot of research and being really passionate in it and spending a lot of time, again, working hard, really investing time into what you want, that you progress and you learn new things and you adapt and you scale and you use those every day. But there's a lot of failures on the way as well. So I did go to uni as well. So I studied design at uni, and I've still got a student debt now that's going up because of the interest that you don't pay off, which is ridiculous. So I have that debt, and I don't think it will ever be paid off. But I can confidently say I didn't learn anything at uni. It was, it was so outdated. I'm very opinionated on it, but I won't dive into that today. But everyone that I've hired, I've never checked a CV. I've never worried about what degree they've done. We've just hired literally a guy who's finished his first year. I looked at his work, not his CV, and I've hired him straight away because he's a nice person, because his work is really good, and I see the progression there that he could make. I just think that's how people should do it. I think everyone's got a degree now. What makes you different? Is it your work? If it is your work, go and do some experience, do stuff for free. But people don't want to. A lot of the time, they're lazy. They want everything to come to them on a silver plate and a silver spoon and knife. It's like, that isn't going to fucking happen. You've got to make it work. I've managed to get to where I am, which isn't maybe where I thought I was. I thought I'd be a little bit further on, but I guess it's about perspective. In 10 years' time, I'll look back and go, I actually was doing quite well. But it's just time. So yeah, I think fail fast. Please give things a go and just try it. You can spend time wasting, your life around thinking what will happen, what could happen, when will it happen? just go and do it and test it out, and then you'll know. You've got absolute fact. You've got confidence. Then you can go ahead with that. So waffled a little bit there, but
I love it though. I love it. So much
fast.
Wisdom. It's good. It's true though. I feel like, yeah, that's it. You have to just try. Otherwise you don't know. And
definitely.
And people always sit there going, oh, I'm not ready. You're never ready. You're never ready for these things. You just have to jump and go.
But I guess it's like, how have you got to where you are now yourself? How have you got quite
failed a million times?
Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah,
that's it.
Definitely. It's
that's just how it works.
And my path was really random. I started off at medical school. Like I didn't have I didn't expect to do this, and I kind of stumbled in it. But like you said, I really truly believe that you have to do what you love. And mine always came back down to, the design, the marketing, all that kind of stuff. It was always a part of me, and it was very much always there. And I just followed that path, and it led me here. And it's been a rocky road, trust me. Like there's been, but the thing is, when it's your own business, the highs are really high, but the lows are really low, and you just have to ride those waves. And I just think and I think if you really, really love what you do, it is just the journey. It isn't just oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. I mean, I just quit. If you feel like that, and don't get me wrong, I feel like, at some point I'm like, oh, why am I doing this kind of thing? But then when you sit back and you think, because I've actually done that when things were at rock bottom, I've sat there and reflected and thought, well, what do I really, really, really want to do with my life? And every little path that I took was like, this this is actually what I really want to do in my life. I am doing it, and so I just need to find a way. There was nothing that I want to do more than this, so I just have to find a way to get through it, and I have, and you bounce back and you get through it, and it's great. And I think that if I didn't have the passion and love for what I do, I would never been able to get through those tough times. I think that's super important. So for me, you have to love what you do, and if you don't, go do something else. There are so many opportunities out there now. Like you're saying, you don't, everyone's got a degree, but you don't even need a degree. Like you said, you don't look at CVs. I don't look at CVs. Most people don't look at CVs. No one cares if you've got a degree. But my criteria is, turn up to work, be honest, do a good job, be respectful. Just don't be a general dickhead. That's it. That's kind of it.
On the money. You're on the money. You're on the money.
So, and it's just like, I don't care if you, trained at NASA or whatever, you're a super genius. I honestly don't care. Or you've only worked at McDonald's. You were undiscovered talent probably if you're working at McDonald's and I suddenly want to hire you. I don't actually care. So that's a thing, and I think that that's really important. I think if someone people often end up in jobs because their parents pushed them into it, or they were told this is what they were meant to do, but it's not really there. And if you I feel like if you don't have that real passion, then I agree, it's not right for you. And
completely agree.
Something else I heard is obviously your dad, again, the wisest guy in the world by the sound of it. He got you. But it's listening to that, he's obviously been a big influence on you and where you are today. How important do you think it is to have a mentor, like someone like that you can look up to and to support?
Yeah, I think it's a different relationship, isn't it? Family though, because it's sort of, you are also emotionally attached to that person. A mentor is very different because it can be quite unemotional. I've had a mentor before, so I've kind of been around that a little bit. Again, going from my dad, it's it's a much more personal experience. They genuinely want you to do the best. A mentor, you never really know that because sometimes you'll be paying them a bit of a cost, or they'll charge an hourly rate for their time, and it's kind of like, cool, I get that, but how emotionally invested are you in my journey and my growth? There was a person, I won't say his name here, but he was really helpful, and it was completely free of his time, and he just wanted me to do well. And I think that person helped a lot because it comes from a place of generosity. They've been there themselves. They want to help educate the next generation of business owners, and I really appreciated that, and it did get me quite far. But just having somebody else to bounce off of, I think, is really important. Even if that's maybe not necessarily in business, but even if that's counselors or a mentor or a family member or a friend that is genuinely there, I think is really important. Some people don't have those, which is horrible. But if you can find somebody, and that's maybe where counseling or just a mentor that you can just buy time from is important, because they will just be completely cutthroat, honest, really just, this is going to work, this isn't going to work. Sometimes the problem with family is that, every idea you have is a great idea and you should just go and do everything because it's amazing. And your nan loves it and she wants to be part of it as well. And it's kind of like, I don't know how true that is now. Is it just, you're just pushing me to go for it and see what happens? But I think,
Jack, you're so brilliant. All your ideas, you've got a credit.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's how it goes. But sometimes you need people to just be like, you're actually really wrong. You're completely incorrect here. You know, and I know this because XYZ, I've done this myself, or, you know, this is why, you know, back it up with a bit of fact there. But yeah, it's very important. It's so important to talk to other people, because business is very lonely. I think a lot of the time people don't talk about that a lot as well. You know, on the authentic trend, it is sometimes you're sitting there, especially when you haven't had a great month or something's happened and you're kind of sitting there, the world is on top of you and you don't know what to do because you've never faced that particular challenge at the, you know, at that time. It's very stressful, and you kind of you feel like you can't talk to people because everyone else around you just isn't at that level. They, you know, it's very hard. And I think we've all been there in business when it's sort of like, how the hell am I going to solve this problem? At that point, it is important to talk to people, as it is just in general life. You know, if you're facing a problem yourself, go and talk to somebody. It's, you know, we are social creatures. You've got to get that out. You've got to chat with people. So yeah, I'd say it's been really helpful. But my dad's definitely been a bit of a mentor to lean on, I think, for the last couple of years. And I still ask him questions now. I'll call him up every now and then and say, "Do you think this is a good idea? You know, should I do this?" Sometimes I don't agree. Sometimes I do agree. But that's, yeah, it's nice. He's helped me a lot.
That's so nice to hear. It's so lovely, and especially like when it's family and it's all, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna bounce back to the whole like LinkedIn versus other social platforms, because what I was curious about is, you know, like you've chosen LinkedIn, you said the reasons why. Like, what are your thoughts on Instagram now, and like TikTok and the rise of TikTok and stuff like that? Because, you know, Instagram's already announced that it's going to like lend its favor towards a video more than static images and stuff like that. Yeah. How are you seeing like brands respond to this, and like, you know, what are your thoughts with video on Insta?
Yeah,
and TikTok?
well, I guess this ties in really nicely to not putting how you feel emotionally above the benefit of the business. So you've got to think very logically here, because what's happened over the last couple of years, especially since I've been on LinkedIn, is consumer behavior has changed very quickly. People engage with content in a much shorter time now as well. So content is getting faster. You're getting a range of content called ephemeral content, which is content that lasts 24 hours that even some people can't be bothered to watch because it's too long. But the trend we're noticing here is it's all around convenience. It's convenience in, I don't know, engineering. It could be convenience in medical. It's convenience in content, in social. Convenience is essentially what sells. So if you can give a message across or sell something in less time, you're probably going to win. So things like Instagram, where I think it's they're just focusing a lot on the real content. So it's very short form content on the feed instead of photos. I think is a smart move, because we digest things a lot faster when it's visual, when it's said to us, when we can kind of engage with that and connect with that visually, as opposed to static image. Same thing with TikTok, even though TikTok's not necessarily, I would say, I haven't seen a lot of businesses jump on that. It's been more sort of influency type people, which is still good. But then you sort of get brand endorsements and influencer marketing there as well, which is another conversation. I think they're really good. I think they're very powerful, but you just got to know how to properly use them. The problem is that, especially maybe the well-established brands, tend to be run by people that aren't that sort of generation, and just for whatever reason can't quite click with that, which is fine. But that's the point in business where you've got to go, right, I've got to hire people who actually are going to challenge me now, and who are going to say no to me, and who are going to offer something completely different and challenge my thought process, rather than be yes man and go, no, you're absolutely right, Leah. You know, you're the company owner. Let's, you know, follow exactly what you want to do. You need to have people around you that go, no, you're actually really wrong here, and this is why. But I think just in general, I think social is getting faster. Consumption is getting faster. It's just the way of the world. I think I read something the other day about, I think it was Mark Zuckerberg he was saying something around completely getting rid of the mobile phone by 2025, something like that, because it's too inconvenient. How is lifting up your phone for a couple of seconds inconvenient? But it's going to get to that point where that is inconvenient, and you're going to have it in your contact lens in the back of your head, and you can just flick it on and it's there, and everything's in front of you.
Sounds like Black Mirror. That's what it sounds like.
But I reckon that's freaky. Where it will go. I reckon that's where it will go.
No, I would be horrified at thought. Actually, that would be. I could just see people like there with their, like, you know, with the holograms, like walking down the street just with it in front of them, just like bumping into each other.
It could get to that point. Like, it could.
That is horrifying.
It's. I would give it sort of 20 years, and I think everything will be constantly, you know, right there and then, in demand right there and then, conveniently right there and then, like even down to, I know we're completely going off topic here, as I said I would do, even Amazon stores where you go into an Amazon store now, you don't have to pay, you just walk out. It's convenient.
Oh my God, that freaks me out as well.
Yeah,
like they've got that Amazon Fresh store and they just knows like
that's it.
what you've bought. Like
mad,
just
right?
walk out. It's crazy.
But it's all around convenience. It's delaying the time for delivery. And social is exactly the same. TikTok and Instagram, I think, are definitely leading in that space. LinkedIn is very far behind. You know, we were saying earlier today in the team that memes are kind of starting to become a thing on LinkedIn, but for the Gen Z generation, millennial generation, they kind of happened. They're kind of done now. But what we're seeing is it's memes posted on Reddit about 6 months ago and now coming up onto LinkedIn, and it's hilarious for all these people. It's like this is like, what is going on here? So Instagram and TikTok they're leading the way in terms of what's happening today, what's happening in conversation now. LinkedIn is very much, you know, what's happened 6 months ago, and let's regurgitate it for likes. It's, you know. Yeah, LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok are very powerful. So how
do you feel about the people? For example, TikTok is incredible in terms of for like, you know, creating your own content, right? You can be a professional videographer on your phone, like, and edit with all these cool effects. Like, how does that make you feel? Because it's like, so take for example, there's something that's a recurring thing in our agency. We hate the word Canva. Like, oh my God, it's like the pariah. It's like, oh my God, it's like someone just, and then we've got a client at the moment, and all the time they'll just be like, okay, so can you do all our social media graphics, but can you make them all in Canva? And I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't. It's off Canva. And it's just like so annoying. And it's just like, and it's like, we've got other people. Like, I remember a few years ago, I had a friend who was just like, oh my God, I'm basically a graphic designer now. And you know, if you want to hire me, let me know, because I've just created all this stuff. It's a brilliant tool called Canva. And I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
And I'm like, yes, so you can take a template and you can drag and drop stuff into it. But you still have no design eye and don't realize none of that works, and it still looks hideous. And I was like, and I feel like now there's video platforms that do the same thing. In fact, Canva's allowing video editing, but like, you know, the video platforms that do the same thing as that. I know there's ones out there where you can see them on social media. You just replace the text and they've got stock videos, and TikTok's obviously making everyone feel like they're a pro videographer. How does that make you feel as someone who's actually good at the job?
It's a very good question. I have to say, I'm not nervous about it. I'm not concerned about it. It's a very different level of service, right? As it is with you guys. You know, when people work with you, it's there is a premium there. There's a level of execution that you just simply can't do on those sort of softwares. Those softwares are, again, I guess going back to convenience, really decreasing the barrier to entry for people, for consumers to actually participate and sort of interact with that sort of industry. So we're getting people that are now making content on their iPhones because the new iPhones are ridiculously high quality. I don't know how the hell they fit that much tech into such a small body, but it's all about convenience. They can do it right there and then they can do it on their phone. Thing is, there is a difference in quality in when you spend time on something, when you've learned it for the last couple of years, you know, you're really experienced in that industry. And people can tell that. And I guess it comes down to brand. It depends on perception. It depends on how you want people to view you or your business. And there is a certain perception that you get when you see iPhone content or you see Canva designs. It's kind of, oh, well done. You've tried. You've tried really hard. Like something your nan says to you when you're a kid and you've done a really bad drawing. Or at least you really tried there. It's the same sort of thing.
Effort.
Yeah, A for effort. That's it. Get an award. A for effort. It's the same kind of thing, but it's the same with any agency or, you know, any good service provider. It's, you know, there is a quality there that, you know, costs money. It's a premium. You know, you pay for that level of a service, and it will generate better results. It will look better. It will help you brand it better. It's the same sort of thing. It's like I'm a car guy, so I tend to use a lot of car references. But it's like if you want to go from A to B, cool, you could get a Nissan Micra, a used one from
I have a
2005.
Nissan Micra. What's wrong with that?
My partner used to have a Nissan Micra as well. Yeah,
I actually don't. That's really offensive that you believe me, but you know, it's fine.
But even if you did
in a Nissan Micra, oh my God,
that's fine. But you can get a Nissan Micra for $5,000, go A to B, or you can get a Rolls Royce that's £1 million. It's such a different experience. It still achieves the same kind of thing. A to B gets you from your destination, but it's that journey, again, going back to maybe to starting a business, that journey of experiencing that, not getting to the final destination, but experiencing that service or that sort of transition, I guess. So
how do you communicate that value to your clients? Because that's what it is, really. It's like, you know, it's a professional brand who respects themselves, who you know want the most out of it, who wants the best experience, they will look for an expert and they will listen to what they say and believe their experience. But you know, you'll often get some who just goes, well, I can do that myself, or I can go to fiverr.com and do this or whatever. You know, you get those, and obviously those aren't the people you want to work with. But let's say you get a brand who is the sort of person you want to work with, a sort of company, and you know, maybe they're just not educated in what good videography really means. Like, how do you then communicate the value that you guys bring in your creativity and your experience and your innovation? Like, how do you actually communicate that to them?
Value is a very hard one to sell, because again, it's all around perception. So if people, and there's an amazing book, I can't remember the guy's name who wrote this, but it's called The 100 Billion Pound Offer. I want to say Adam something, but I don't know if that's right. He came up with this equation called the value equation, which essentially breaks down how people actually define value and what I guess makes that up. And it's really interesting. It's broken down by a couple of things. One of them is the dream goal. So essentially what you're going to be getting from that. The second is the likelihood of achievement. So how likely that is that you're actually going to get that soon. The negative side of value is how long is that going to take to actually achieve? So what is the delay there? And it's also the level of input that a person has to have. So again, it all goes back to convenience. If you can delay the time that a client or someone that you work with has that piece of content or that finished piece, the better that experience, the higher the value. If they've got to spend less time on that, the higher the value, because it's done by the experts and not the person who wants it done. And again, if that achieves the dream outcome, and the likelihood of achieving that dream outcome is massive, the value is huge as well. I can get really technical on that, but I won't, because it's going to be very boring for people listening. Essentially, the nutshell version of that is you've got to do it yourself a lot of the time. You've got to show people that you know what you're doing. Again, show people, don't tell people about what you do. Be visual as well. The types of people that we want to be working with are visual people. They're not necessarily analytical. They're very focused on sort of how they look, how they feel, brand perception, brand image. And it's good because it's an emotional reason to purchase. You either buy through emotion or you buy through rationality, and tend to back it up with emotion as well. So you've got to tap into that. And I guess that's just business learnings, I guess, over the last couple of years, but you've got to tap into that emotional buy, make people, want to work with you guys, not just to fill a service, but generally want to work with you because they perceive you as the best. And that's why I've been personal branding for the last couple of years, because I want to show that I'm very, very, very good at what I do. I want to show people that I'm a real person, that I'm very easy to get on with, as are the team now as well. But you can't tell people that. You've got to show people that. And the way that we do that is, I guess, through video. So that's where our value comes from. It's through showing how we do things, the types of clients that we're working with, the stuff that we're making, stuff that we do for ourselves, and the results that we get. And then that is essentially the slow burn. And we just let prospects or clients just sort of fester in that for a bit, and sort of do a bit of research and sort of sit there for a bit, rather than go, do you need video? Get in touch. It's just much slower approach, but we end up working with clients that genuinely want to work with us, which is amazing. So
that is exactly where you want to be. And not only that,
100%.
And when they really want to work with you as well, they show you respect. They listen to you and they value everything that you're saying. It's just a way better experience for everyone.
100%.
So definitely.
And that's what everybody wants, right? They just want clients that will pay their invoices quickly. They'll just trust them implicitly to do a good job, won't sort of mess them around and delay things and forget things. It's a two-way relationship. But I also find that it's when you charge, I guess I'm not necessarily sure if this applies to everything, but when you charge a bit of a premium to a service, people seem to be more involved, because there's not necessarily more risk, but it's more of a purchase. There's a real desire to work with this particular company, so they're going to be more engaged. We found, especially through COVID, when we lowered our prices, which is again a massive failure from my side, we found that we were getting some pretty awful clients that didn't respect our time, wanted things done amazingly quickly, wanted the highest John Lewis, most professional grade of videography for 300 quid.
Yeah, that's
kind of like, it just doesn't work.
We get that. The Apple website for 500
that's
quid.
Exactly it. That's it. 50 quid, Fiverr. Yeah, brilliant. But it is when you have, when you respect your time, when you respect what value you add, and when you charge genuinely what you feel your value is worth, I think clients can see that. And I think that's what sets a lot of people apart, especially in the creative industry. It's getting to the point where there's a lot of people that offer the same thing. You've got to really think about how you define your value, what really makes you different, whether that's your speed, whether that's your price, whether that's your how you execute things, or the people there. You've got to figure that out. I think for us, it is just that we just show people, I think, but it might be different for you as well. We've just always shown people sort of what our worth is, I guess. So
yeah, I love
and that's
that.
how we'll continue to do it.
That's great. I love it. I definitely want to ask you something, because I feel like you've got such good content. Like, you've been doing it for years, like you said now, and like you said, you've been doing it every week. I can't believe that still. It's
That's
honestly
mad.
incredible determination and like grit. That's impressive. So, you've put a lot of content out there, and you must analyze your stats and everything. What has been your best performing video, and what's been the worst performing video?
Oh, that's an awesome question, and I know this because I was actually looking earlier. So the best piece of content I've ever made was a video, was actually the first, and this is awful at the same time. It was the first week that I started making content on LinkedIn. I made a video around how long it takes to make a piece of content. It reached, I think, 1.2 million people on LinkedIn, which is crazy. Yeah, it smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. 25,000 likes, something ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But it makes me feel glum because I've never been able to do the same again. And it's kind of frustrating, actually.
Beginner's luck.
Yeah, honestly, it really is the definition of it. And the worst piece, I mean, I have a lot of bad content that I post a lot of the time, really. There's not a particular piece. But then this is the beauty of it. It's sort of like, I can do that because I have a team of people that can do that. We've got the equipment here, so we can make those mistakes quite quickly. But I don't know if I can pinpoint it to a particular piece.
I guess I would say one that you thought was going to be do really well. You were like, guys, I'm so proud of this. I can't wait for this to go out, and then it just bombed. Like, is there anything?
Okay, yeah, that's actually, I think I know. So during COVID, I shaved my head, and I thought it was going to go viral, and it didn't. It absolutely flopped, and I thought, why the fuck have I just done that? It was the most traumatizing week of my life, basically. But yeah,
oh my God, I love that. So I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but
it's fine. No, that's okay. It just flopped. It completely flopped, and I thought, brilliant, great.
How long did your hair take to grow back?
About 4 months. So yeah, it was. It took quite some time, but yeah, that was probably it. And I guess it just goes to show, just don't try and make something go viral. It's just.
And in fact, you did a video on that recently, and I really liked that piece as well. And I think was that video resonating in your head when you were making that piece of content?
100%. Don't go viral. It's me bald in the back of my head. Yeah, that's it.
Oh God.
I've made some pretty crap content, I'm not gonna lie, but I've made some very good content at the same time. But that's why I like doing it. You just get to test lots of different things, and you can really get hands-on with different styles. And yeah, I just genuinely love what I do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's so lovely. I think that's a perfect note to end on as well. And I wanted to just say thank you so much for being on today's show. And so, like, how can all our listeners get in touch with you? Like, website, LinkedIn, obviously, but are you on any other socials? Like, how do we get in touch?
I'm on honestly absolutely everything. I'm even on TikTok, so please don't go and watch it because it's awful. But it's just Jack Gaisford, or you can check out the website v21.co.uk. And then give us a buzz if you fancy chatting. But LinkedIn's probably the place to message me. I'm always on it. Just DM me really informally. That's the sort of person that I am. Really chilled out chat, and let's just see where we go. But I'm always, I think it's like, it's you kind of hand it down to people. I had a mentor that really helped me. Now that I know that I've gone through a lot of pain with video, I'm very happy to sort of share that with other people and give advice and sort of support people there and then, as I do a lot of the time anyway. So if you've got any questions, just ping me a message on LinkedIn. Genuinely happy to help out if I can, because it makes me happy. So
well, that's so nice. It's been such an honor to have you here, Jack.
I've loved this. I have genuinely loved this. I've really enjoyed it. So, and it's nice as well, sort of after the last year or so, just chatting for an hour with someone. It's just good. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much, and thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back next week with another guest. Thanks all.